Today we're talking about melodies, and specifically I want to show you guys 4 things that I apply to pretty much every single melody I make. The first one is economy of motion, the second one filling the spectrum, the third one variating rhythm, and the fourth one the freeze and slice, which sounds like, I don't know what it sounds like, but it's a really cool technique. This video is going to be packed with information, so no matter what level you're at, beginner, intermediate, professional, producer, I am positive that you're going to learn at least a thing or two from this video. So make sure to watch the video all the way through, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is economy of motion. Now, this is a concept that I actually learned in college, and I never hear anybody talking about it, especially not in the producer community. This is an aspect that can make or break your chord progressions. Like, if you learn how to do this properly, your chords are going to sound like way smoother, way more musical, and they're just going to flow into each other like perfect. So let me give you an example. For our sound, I'm going to pull up one of these one-shots from the Cymatic Spec Apex Volume 3. It's new, it's completely free, there's a whole bunch of one-shots. I'm going to leave the link at the top of the description. If you guys are interested in checking it out, it's free, you got nothing to lose, and you get some really good one-shot. So let's pick one of these. Let's go with this one. Woo! So when you're building a chord progression, there are obviously a million different approaches that you can take, but this one, the economy of motion one, works on piano, it works on guitar, it works on pretty much every instrument, and I just really like the way it ties your chords together. So this is what it is. We're going to start with our first chord. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to go with A minor. And don't worry if you don't know music theory too well. I'm going to try to keep theory out of this as much as I can. If you do know theory, some of these concepts are a little bit easier, but either way, you can grasp it even without understanding music theory. So we got our first chord, A minor. Now we want to find our second chord, we want to find the next chord of the progression. A really quick way to do that is to, instead of just moving to a different chord and just jumping around the keyboard, is to kind of keep some of the notes of this first chord and just move the rest of them. For example, we can take our chord, we can keep this note where it is, move the other 2 fingers down, and now we have an E minor. Now we went from A minor to E minor. If we just took the 2 chords separately without thinking about the economy of motion, we would just jump, for example, from here, A minor, to E minor right here. Or we could do A minor, E minor. These are some pretty big jumps. They don't sound bad, obviously, the chords are the same, but they kind of disrupt your chord progression and they don't give it as much of a flow. But if instead of playing the E minor up here, we play it like this, it's the same exact notes, right? We got E, G, and B, and over here we got the E, G, and B. Same notes. So now we have A minor, E minor, and they flow into each other perfectly. So when you're building chord progression using economy of motion, or in other words, moving as little as possible on the keyboard, is going to make your progression sound so much smoother, so much more musical, and just better. So a quick and fun way to use this and to kind of get better at it is to just pick a random chord and then force yourself to find a chord after that sounds good and it doesn't require you to move more than 2 fingers. So for example, we can go from here to here, bring this down, bring it back up, and we're back to the beginning. We created a progression, barely moving our fingers, but that really flows and really works, all within the space of these few keys right here. First time I saw this, it blew my mind. Economy of motion is my favorite thing. Alright, we got a basic chord progression going. Let's get into number 2, fill in the spectrum. So this is another super underrated aspect when it comes to creating melodies. When you want a melody to sound full, you want it to sound big and powerful, usually if you go and look at the spectrum analyzer, it tends to fill up a lot of it. So if we take the chords that we just recorded and we open up a spectrum analyzer, right now I'm using Span, which is free and it's a great one, but you can also use like any EQ that you have. There's a lot of spectrum analyzers out there. So let's just go ahead and press play and see what it looks like. So as you can see, the vast majority of the sound is right here in this middle section. We have a little bit here at the top end, but it's kind of empty over there and it's super empty on the bottom end. So what we're going to want to do to fill up our melody is kind of find new sounds that fill up those spaces. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the sound to fill up a little bit of the bottom end. I'm going to go back into the one-shot pack by Cymatics. Let's find a different sound and just kind of follow the chords. I kind of want to go with this Dracula organ. That's fire. Alright, so now that we got that recorded, we can pull up our spectrum analyzer again and let's see where we're at. As you can see, we filled up a little bit of the bottom end right over here. That's perfect. Let's do the same thing, but with the top end. Before we do that though, since we're going to include it, let's talk real quick about point number 3, variating rhythms. A really quick way to spice up your melodies, take the chords that you already have, but create a new part with a different rhythm. You can do this in 2 different ways. The first one is to just keep the chords the way they are and just add some rhythm to the part. For example, something like this. The other thing that you can do, which is what we're going to do right now, is arpeggiate the chords. So basically you just take your chord and you play the notes one at a time. You can do this up, you can do this down, you can get super creative with it, but basically you're playing the chord one note at a time with a certain rhythm. That's fire. Alright, and here we go with the 4th technique of the day, the freeze and slice. Such a stupid name. So it's actually a very simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful, and I do this with like most of my melodies. So when I get to this point with a melody, it sounds good, it flows, I could use it the way it is, but it doesn't quite have that sampley, grimy quality that I'm looking for. So here's what I do. I open up a new audio track, I put this on resampling, turn on the sound, and I just record the melody the way it is into a single audio file. Once I have that ready, I open up a new MIDI track and I import the audio file as if it was any other sample. That way I can repitch it, I can slice it, I can reverse it, I can do everything I want to it and just treat it the same way I would treat any other sample that I got off of a record or something. This is about to get crazy. I'm gonna push Shaper Box on it before I record it because I want to hear what it sounds like. I know it's gonna be crazy with Shaper Box. So basically when I get to this point, I just like to keep going. I'm gonna freeze it again, I'm gonna slice it again. Hey! Woo! Woo! That's fire, that's crazy. Alright, so I'm gonna have this one for the intro, then I wanna drop into a different version, probably an octave down. I know this is supposed to be a tutorial, but I'm getting carried away. We're making a beat. Alright, tutorial is over. I'm going to go finish the beat. I'll play you guys the final thing in just a second. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe button and notification bell. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.